Welcome back to the Bad Pipes, the only podcast run by a couple of apes. I'm King Kong.
And I'm Donkey Kong.
Oh shh. On the real, my name is Andrew, and with me today is my Scott. And today we're fucking talking.
It's just the two of us. Isaac's not here.
Isaac's not here. He's no longer an honorary co-host. He's been relegated to part-time guest.
Yeah. He'll work his way back up, I'm sure.
Maybe. If he earns it.
What do we have today? Just some talk, right? We're gonna skip one of the things we were gonna do. We're gonna wait for Isaac on that one because that was his recommendation. And that one's
so we're
The
not going to be
Gentleman.
talking about The Gentleman this week, but we are going to be talking about Rebel Moon Part 2, Slow Motion Farming Boogaloo.
Yes. Should we do that first?
Well, I think yeah, why not?
Well, let's just get it over with. Then we can just ramble at the end.
Yeah, like we do. We'll just yap it out at the end there.
Yeah. All right. Let me. I'm not prepared. Let me pull this up on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know that I need to pull it up on Rotten Tomatoes because I already feel like I know the reviews on this. But yeah, here it is. Oh man. Whoa.
What do you mean, whoa?
Rotten Tomatoes trying to hit me with some ads randomly.
That's fucked up.
Just randomly playing.
You know who never hits you with ads?
Who?
The Bad Pipes podcast.
We don't. We have no advertisers. If you want to run an ad with us, we'll be more than happy to. I will write some shit up for you.
And
we'll do a little ad segment. Yeah, so Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver. I just have to say, cringy as fuck name, and cringy as fuck that they keep referencing the fact that fucking Korra gave our boy Noble a scar.
Well, that's
she's
not
just
even
a
the
Scargiver,
reason
dude.
She has the name. It's because she gave Scar to the royal family, I think.
I don't know. Either way, I think it's dumb as fuck. Just call it Rebel Moon Part 2.
Alright, let's get the big one out of the way. There's 23 minutes of slow motion in this movie.
Holy fuck, dude. I watched so much.
Too much.
I really did watch so much of this movie at 1.5 or 1.25 times speed.
Yeah.
I watched it. I started watching it at 1.5 because I was sitting in the scenes where they're fucking farming and it's doing slow-mo farming, and I'm like, why the fuck is this in slow-mo? I don't give a fuck about the grain. I don't give a fuck that it's just so.
Yeah, the slow motion was egregious. It was there was a couple scenes where it's actually useful and has some impact, but because there's so much throughout the movie, those scenes lose the impact that they should have had.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what. Were they just trying to be oh, this is a beautiful moment or whatever? It didn't feel that way. It just felt dumb. It felt dumb and useless. I'm just get through this. I get it. They're farming. They could have cut all that out.
Yeah. I mean, if the farming sequence was 5 minutes and it gave you some character development or something, it would make sense. But nothing fucking happens, man. It's just slow motion farming.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they fuck.
Also, if you weren't paying attention in the first movie and you're oh yeah, the Imperium is low on supplies or some shit like that, and it's just so weird, man. This is the way this world works is so fucking weird. We have coal-powered spaceships.
Yeah, coal-powered mechs, just tanks on the walk around, dude.
At least 40K to explain their fuel stuff is like, yeah, we have promethium, which is like super gasoline.
Yeah. I will say to any of our listeners, if you do go to watch this, I started watching it. I got to a point where I got fed up with the slow-mo. I started watching it 1.5. That's a little too fast for some parts. Some parts, people like you don't really catch what they're saying, or the dialogue's a little too fast. Watching it at 1.25 speed, it feels like a totally normal movie. The slow-mo is still, like, even then the slow-mo is still egregious, but like, you could watch it at 1.25 and catch everything. And
Yeah, so
don't feel like you're speeding through it too fast.
that was definitely not good. I just, man, does it say who did the edit on this movie? Because I feel like this, I don't know, man, because like just the whole premise of this one was bad. Like,
Yeah. Dude, I don't know.
In the last episode where we talked about like there's potential for it to be good, like it let me down in every way that I was like, if it just does a couple things good, it didn't.
It didn't at all. I think I'll say what I texted you and Isaac earlier, and that is, this literally felt like someone's D&D one shot where they had a bunch of brand new players to D&D write up their characters, and then the scene where they're all sitting around the table and like talking about their like past or whatever, it literally felt like a D&D session where all the characters sit down and go, here's my character, and he used to be a general for the Imperial Army, and he was like basically forced to go like kill an entire city. He refused to, and his men would die with him, and they were all executed, so he feels guilty about it. And now he's with this ragtag group, and they're going to fight.
And this probably doesn't need to be mentioned, but everyone's backstory is in slow motion.
Yeah, everyone's backstory is in slow motion. And it's just like, instead of it feeling very natural that we get these backstories, it literally is just them sitting around a table telling their fucking backstories.
Yeah, it's
one
the
after
definition of them telling you and not showing you. Like,
yeah.
I think this is what we had talked about with the first movie, though, is that it feels like every character needed a movie or an episode to, like, flesh out their backstory, to explain why they would join up.
Mm-hmm.
And then they try to do that all in, like, a maybe 10-minute scene in this one. And it's just not, it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
I'll say, like, the only redeeming thing, some of the fighting stuff was cool. Like, some of the, like where they're kind of doing like the guerrilla warfare stuff, where like they're under like the the dirt, like have them like pop up and fucking shoot a rocket into one of these like ships. Kind of cool. That's like only redeeming thing is like some of the action sequences.
Yeah. And that was like the only cool slow motion, right? Is whenever like they pop up, fire a rocket into the side of one of the ships or whatever, and like the explosions and stuff. Those were like the kind of okay slow motion points. But there's so many things where it's like it just isn't worth it.
Dude, a lot of the CGI was fucking janky. When the dreadnought launches,
the
like
blaster effects, dude, coming through the smoke was awful.
The blaster effects of the smoke, and then the dreadnought launching like the ships and the tanks and everyone to go down onto Velt. And I'm watching that, and I go, this looks like a fucking video game. This CGI is so bad. It literally looks like video game graphics. It looks like a studio's
tech demo. Like, if you go on YouTube and you look up like CGI short film, like that kind of stuff, it looks like that. Also, a lot of the designs look like that as well. Like the very rotund walking tanks, terrible. Like I'm okay. I think I remember saying that I was okay with the ship designs, and I think the ship designs are fine, but like the tank needed to be more aggressive looking. It just looks like a fat little turtle waddling across the battlefield.
I just tell you one of the cringiest things about this entire movie. There's a lot of cringe. One of the cringiest things, it's especially like I just have this image in my head of Zack Snyder sitting down and going like, man, you know what'd be really cool? The heroes are in a tough spot. They're getting beaten. And then the smoke kind of settles. And you got James the fucking robot just ready to beat some ass. And I was just...
they
you just
needed
have
him to not do superhero stuff.
Yeah,
if
he needed
could
just
like come from the side and just start blasting people, that would have been fine and cool.
Yes.
But
just like have like flank them or something. Just like flank them instead of like appearing out of the smoke in the middle in front of everyone and then just like going ham for like a fucking minute. You also just get nothing from him except for like weird passing dialogue and then this.
Yeah. And then there's also like 3 scenes where someone drops an explosive and then like the bad guy looks at it and goes, "Oh no." And then fucking explodes. And I was like, stop, dude.
I'm like, the pilot, when he looks back and he sees the like sack of like thermal detonator essentially sitting at the open tail of this plane, I go, dude, I would just literally crank that shit straight up so they fall off the back.
Right?
Like, what? I turn and I go, oh no, and then it blows up like 3 seconds later.
Yeah, just like hit the fucking gas, pull the nose up, and you would have been
let that
fine.
shit fall out.
Yeah, there's a lot of moments in this where it's just like, oh man, like,
hey, do you want to know the most important thing though? The most important lesson we got from this?
what do we get?
Cora can be a strong, independent woman because they killed off all her men.
Oh, yeah, they keep killing her lovers.
Yeah, they killed what's his name? Her boy. They killed Den, like the original guy that was like a weird
Gunner.
Yeah, Gunner, Den, all those guys.
Yep.
But hey, if he's gonna have 6 movies, she's gotta have some motivation to go and beat some Imperial ass, you know?
Oh, dude. After this, I don't want another one.
They can't. There's no way. I mean, sitting here, 15% from critics, 52% from audience, and that even feels high to me.
Yeah, and 61% from Google users, which is usually the highest. Because I feel like you only write a Google review and you're like, I actually like this.
Yeah.
5.2 on IMDb, so like not the worst thing we've seen on IMDb, but it's not the 6s that we've been seeing on IMDb either.
Yeah.
God, dude. And then what's her name? Nemesis, Bae Doona's character.
Yeah.
They somehow took the coolest weapons in the movie and made them so lackluster. Like her pseudo lightsaber things were like, they didn't do any cool lightsaber type shit with it.
Yeah.
They're effectively just swords. I think at one point Cora gets like burned by a sword that she uses.
Yeah, she tries to like grab one, and I'm just like, there's so much of this they don't explain. Did they explain in the first one, like, what the gauntlets that what's her name wears? The sword girl, was it Ray?
Nemesis.
Do they explain the gauntlets at all?
No. I mean, they do with this movie and her backstory, where she cuts her arms off and then sticks them on, and then
I feel like
some reason they teach her how to use the sword.
Well, and I'm like, for something so fucking cool, these fucking like gauntlets that let you like wield these swords or do whatever, we get such a shallow explanation. We literally just see her cutting off her arms and being like, yeah, something about my ancestors had these gauntlets.
Yeah.
Can we get more?
Yeah, that's where you want like the full episode to explain her backstory.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think I watched this movie and I got done with it and I went, I kind of wish I had that time back.
Yeah. And I feel like all of the performances we got were also just like much worse than the performances in the first movie. Like the first movie also like didn't do great. Like no one was particularly stand out. And then this one was just like people were just bad. Like Atticus Noble was like somehow worse, even though he was like very two-dimensional in the first movie. He's like even flatter in this one. They give everyone like a backstory, but then like the backstories don't matter because it doesn't affect anything that happens in this movie. Tarek just runs in with axes. They somehow made chopping dudes down with axes boring to watch.
Yeah. Really, what they should have done when Atticus Noble, when we're introduced to him, he's in this vat. He's hooked up to life support. They're healing him. You know, he should have been like more mortally wounded to the point where he has to like be put in a suit and have like a machine breathe for him. And then like that would make him a little bit more villainous. And then like give him one of those laser swords.
Yeah, to reinforce that he's the big bad guy. Make it so that all of his guys around him have blue swords, but he has something like really, really different, like a red sword.
Yeah.
I will say, like, the only effect I liked with this movie was the blaster, like, slagging effect. I do like that. Mm-hmm. It just... you put a cool thing in a bad movie.
Yeah. We'll just have to make our own. We'll have to make our own movie and do the slagging effect there.
Because, like, that's a legitimately cool thing, but then, like, it gets counterbalanced with bad, with like the shots just flying through the smoke, and it just looks like red lights flying across the screen, and you're like, this is bad.
Yeah.
God, like, what else is there even to talk about with this? Because like the characters are bad. Like, they just don't do anything with them. They have like very superficial development. The action was subpar. The only good parts of the action are like the couple of times that there was like slow motion blowing up a fucking ship or something. Some like it tricks you into thinking that this is a very like tactical battle, but like if by the end of the fucking story, they're like, oh, we don't care about the grain, we can just fucking shoot them, the guys that die on the ground don't matter, we'll be able to like just fucking leave and not have to worry about food or whatever, we can go like straight home. Why did you land at all then? Like, you could have just fucking blasted from space, known that you were killing all your fucking enemies, but it's like the only counter argument to that is, well, it was Noble's hubris, right? Thinking that he could take Cora captive. But it's like, yeah, but
do you know what I thought would have been even
really weak?
Do you know what I thought would have been even fucking cooler?
What?
I thought about this when he realized she was on the ship. I went, damn, you know what would have been really cool? He shows so much hubris that he's just like, no, fuck it. Like, jump to orbit. Like, let's fucking, like, get back to fucking the home. I mean, I guess they don't really have, like, light speed travel, it seems like, because it took them days to get to fucking Velt. But part of me was like...
Now that I'm thinking about it, do they ever say that they use like wormholes or warp travel or light speed or hyperspace
I don't know.
Or anything like that?
I can't remember. I don't think so. But I was like, dude,
fucking diesel motors.
It would have been dope to just like, if they did have light travel, you're just like, yeah, she's on the ship, just fucking dip out. Let's fucking light speed. And then they get into like orbit over like the like Imperial City, the Imperial capital or something. And the ship just fucking goes kaboom, and you just rain terror down on the people. That would have been dope.
Yeah, like the ship crashes on the fucking home mother world or whatever they call it. And she manages to get away. Mm-hmm. But now you've got like all the people back on the other planet who are like, oh shit, we gotta go save her, and they hop in a fucking transport or something.
Yeah, it's like you could set up for a third movie so well because like she's literally like you have her like doing something like she's in hiding or like doing some espionage shit on the like capital, the Imperial's capital planet.
Yeah.
Have her do some espionage shit while everyone else is trying to figure out where she's at and try to save her. Set yourself up perfectly for a third movie. Why don't we write this? Why aren't we writers? We can write a better movie than Zack Snyder.
I mean, I could definitely write a better fucking combat than he could.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I give this a
that's
2.
Like what I'm frustrated about is like the whole appeal of this movie is supposed to be like the action, right? This is an action movie.
Yeah.
But like the reasons for the fighting are not good. The fighting itself was subpar, and the visuals of it are the only thing where it gets close to being good. But they somehow managed to just like go too far with it.
Yeah.
Like you're trying to do too much, basically.
Yeah. I give it a 2.
Well,
I give it a 2.
Straight to the out of 10. I mean, I'm gonna give it a 4. Cause like, I don't know, man.
That's not bad.
I wanted it to be good.
Yeah.
I wanted it to build on the other movie, but like, ew, what a lackluster finish. And the idea that there's gonna be like more of these, I just like, where do you go from here? Because like, Noble's the only person we've seen. I guess Balisarius Balisarius becomes the like the villain at this point, but like, God, even the scene where he like betrays her, right? Like he gets her to kill the princess, and they slaughter the royal family, and then he pins it all on her, and all the senators are there, and everyone's like, "You murderer, murderer!"
Dude. Also, I'm sorry, his voice.
Oh yeah, that like horrendous Scottish accent.
I heard that. I was like, "What is with this dude's voice? It's just terrible."
Yeah, it's like a terrible Scottish.
He also looks like he's wearing a fake beard. I'm sorry.
I mean, dude, the pictures of him, he looks like he looks younger than me. He's 36 years old.
Yeah.
He's from Dungannon, United Kingdom. Is he fucking... Oh, he's Irish. Okay, so he's Irish. But am I wrong? Does it sound like he's trying to do a Scottish accent?
It sounds like he's trying to do some sort of accent that's not natural.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, he's very unconvincing as a bad guy. He's also 5'8".
Yeah.
Call me crazy, but I kind of liked in Star Wars how the bad guy was like 6.5 feet tall almost.
Yeah.
Like, literally was the tallest guy in every scene. Was played by a bodybuilder. Was voiced by like the deepest, most like resonant voice actor, I guess, at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, oh my god, I'm blanking on names again. Darth Vader's voice.
James Earl Jones.
James Earl Jones. Obviously, James Earl Jones is like a very good actor. Has had like more roles than voicing Darth Vader. But yeah, like, oh man, I just like, your villain has to be good.
Yeah.
Your villain has to be good, and the villains in this are just subpar.
I agree.
All right. That's all I got to say about that.
Yep. Moving on.
So that's a overwhelming do not recommend from us.
Yeah.
I'll even retroactively say don't even bother watching the first one.
Yeah. Just don't. Just save yourself the time.
Which is crazy too, because like the cast of this is not bad. Like Anthony Hopkins, Charlie Hunnam, Shimon Hansu, Ray Fisher, Bae Doona. Like they've got a pretty good cast, but like man, they just don't. And I think this comes down to Snyder. He did not tie them together well.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm done.
Okay.
Cary Elwes, the king, dude. Nothing out of him. We'll never see him again. All right, that's enough. I'm done now.
All right. What do we got?
Revisit Warhammer 40k stuff.
Oh yeah, you got something on that, right?
All right, so this is just maybe it's a coincidence, maybe it's not. But the chief financial officer, Rachel Tung of Games Workshop, she had announced back in January that she was going to be resigning, and like all companies do, because she's like a high-ranking board member, whatever. I don't know how this shit works, dude. I'm a fucking barista. Anyway, she's going to be working there until January to give them time to find a replacement. But
yeah.
It being April, the end of April now, she sold off 2/3 of her stock in Games Workshop, pulling in about $865,000. Some interesting things about this. GW stock is down 5% for the year right now. Some hobbyists have announced and already canceled their Warhammer Plus subscriptions and indicated they will boycott the company. This in conjunction with rumors that Henry Cavill is preparing to or unhappy with the situation with Amazon as far as making the Warhammer film projects. I mean, it's very chaotic right now, and I feel like that's not something you want whenever you're planning to do like a big release or a big event kind of thing, like the Amazon film stuff is supposed to be.
Yeah.
I mean, ideally, you want to see things going smoothly.
This was the CFO?
Yeah, Chief Financial Officer. And you know, who's going to have the financial insights for the company?
Who knows?
Yeah. And I mentioned that some people are announcing and already canceling their subscriptions and things to Warhammer Plus, but me keeping my ear to the ground, it seems like the atmosphere online around the Adeptus Custodes retcon has turned pretty sour, especially with more and more references to the custodians being male and specifically a quote brotherhood of demigods turning up. It's harder and harder to justify them making the decision that they did.
Yeah. I don't know if you can quote, like, if you can say brotherhood. I've heard the argument of people trying to be like, yeah, it's specifically considered brotherhood, but brotherhood also, like, it's in the same sort of vein as like a co-ed, like you have like co-ed fraternities that are considered fraternities. Like brotherhood can explain.
I mean, Fallout you can point to and be like, well, and I mean, Fallout obviously is not 40k, but
yeah,
and Fallout,
I don't know, man.
Has
they all got power armor.
They do got the power armor. They are kind of their thing. They're the guys with the power armor.
Yeah, my thing is like I don't. I still don't know if I care too much about the female custodies. I also think that these people, like, definitely are taking a stand now in light of the announcement coming out recently. These motherfuckers are too addicted to the plastic crack. They're going to be right back on it, dude. It is a drug.
I don't know, because, I mean, there's a lot of games out there that are... It's kind of like... I feel like... I'm not attacking you here. I'm just saying that I feel like that argument is in the same vein as the people that are like, you're going to be back with WotC and Wizards of the Coast, like, before the end of the year. Like, you're going to be buying their shit before the end of the year. Whereas, like, the Wizards of the Coast stuff happened. The last thing I paid any money for was to see the movie when we reviewed it. Or when I reviewed it. I can't remember if you saw it or not. But
I didn't know.
Yeah, like, that's the last thing I ever paid money for. For them. And after all that stuff happened, I was like, yeah, it's the last time. I'm never supporting them again. And I've gone, like, fully into Warhammer Fantasy stuff. Which is more so because I really like the publisher of that stuff. Cubicle 7, I think, makes really good stuff. And they are very, very friendly with their community.
I think my thing is, like, I see some, like, I've seen quite a few people posting about it. Like, there's a guy I have on the podcast Twitter here that I follow. He was very vehemently against it and, like, bashing it. And then, I mean, he was talking about, like, canceling his subscription and everything. And then going as far, like, my thing is he's presenting alternatives to, like, 3D printing models or doing whatever. He's not quitting Warhammer. And that's, like, I feel like there's so many of these guys who are just, like, up in arms, like, over this stuff, but it's like, at the core, so many of them just aren't quitting the actual game. Like, yeah, maybe you're not giving them your money by, like, not buying the miniatures, but you're still playing the game. And when you're still in that space, like, at some point, you're probably going to cave to, like, whenever they release, like, a really cool fucking model that's not a female Adeptus Custodes. Whenever they give you, you know, whenever they finally give you your Sanguinius model, the boys are going to be eating it up. Blood Angels. You know?
You can't sway me with this blatant pandering.
But no, I'm sure we will see an exit of some people. My thing is, like, I don't feel like Warhammer has a very low barrier of entry. Warhammer 40K feels like it's very, like, it's a very high barrier to kind of get into for a lot of people. It doesn't feel super accessible.
Every, like, miniature game.
Yeah, because my thing is, like,
there's a lot of upfront costs, but if you once you have the models, as long as you're not switching a bunch of stuff, you're kind of, like, you have your shit.
Yeah. My thing is, like, with Wizards, like, at least with Magic specifically, it's such a low barrier of entry. I don't know, they got everyone hooked on that cardboard crack.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I refuse to pay any money towards, like, actual cards.
You're seeing now a bunch of issues with Hasbro. Like, Hasbro having tons of financial issues.
Hasbro, more like has been.
Yeah, I mean, from what I hear, it almost sounds like they want to get out of, like, the toy industry, because, like, the toy industry has been so dead lately.
No,
it makes sense, because, like, kids
you just throw a kid an iPad. Yeah, you throw them an iPad, you throw them a phone, they're on TikTok. Soon to be banned. It's been signed. I mean, unless ByteDance or whatever that company is, the company that owns TikTok, sells to a US, or, like, becomes like a US company. I don't know. They have like 9 months to sell off. Yeah. I don't know. I think it is a lot of them trying to bend to the will of Meta and allow Meta to monopolize our attention on the screen.
Yep.
Because they claim it's about it being a Chinese company getting our data, but they allow many other Chinese companies to have access to our data every day.
Yeah.
So, you know.
I mean, The Chinese are just so fucking egregious with it.
Yeah. They're out to data farm. But I digress.
Yeah.
Back to 40K. So yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Another aspect of it is you have these rumors floating around. And I don't like to rumor monger, but
Mm-hmm.
it is like out in the air, and this is what some of these people are running with. Is like Amazon for the shows was like, we want a woman in power armor who is still powerful outside of the armor, and that's why the going thing here is that they want to do a custodian, because they were unhappy with the Sisters of Silence and the Sisters of Battle because they're very religious organizations, and they didn't want like a hyper religious woman. And they also, they didn't want a Sister of Silence because, well, a silent woman can't voice her opinions, I guess. I don't know. Even though it's like, oh God, when you dive into the lore, it's like a dedication to the Emperor,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, when they announced they were making a Warhammer show, I was like, how the fuck are you gonna do that?
I guess we'll see.
And I
Cavil's doing
think they're
it.
pushing for an Eisenhorn is also what these stories are saying. So they're wanting to do an Eisenhorn series, which Eisenhorn is like one of the most popular book series for 40K. But main character's a guy. Most of his pals are guys. There is like a prominent female character.
Maybe they'll
give
it to us. Maybe they'll make it work.
Yeah.
But 40K.
They did okay with Fallout, so that is something.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, I've watched it now.
I haven't watched it, but I think I'm going to.
Yeah,
should we do that? Should we do that next week?
Yeah, if we just want to talk about Gentlemen and Fallout next week, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'll watch. I already watched Gentlemen. I'll save my opinions on that for later. For next week.
Sure.
But I am excited to talk about it. And then I'll watch Fallout. I have a small segment to do on Cabrutus, Sweet Baby Inc. Sweet Baby Inc. Detected.
Ink. You're bringing up Sweet Baby Inc. stuff.
I don't know if you've seen the most recent uproar or goings on with that. So first of all, they rebranded, and now they have just a whole website that's DEI detected. So that's a whole thing. But so he posted 2 or 3 days ago, I think 3 days ago, a game called Tales of Kenzera Zhao released. And he posted about it and said, "What's up, guys? Just wanted to remind that Zhao is going to launch today. This game is on Sweet Baby Inc. Detected Curator page, and yeah, it is connected to Sweet Baby Inc. Remember to vote with your wallet." And this caused a little bit of uproar, even from.
See. It looks like, so it looks like he's not doing. So on the Steam page is Sweet Baby Inc. or whatever. It looks like this DEI detected.com.
Mm-hmm.
It follows not just consultants but also publishers. So for consultants, it's got the big three, right? Sweet Baby Inc., Black Girl Gamers, and GaymerX, GAYMERX.
Yeah.
And then for publishers, it's got Ubisoft, Fellow Traveler, Raw Fury, and Warner Brothers games.
Yeah. My problem is with this macro view of things, with just going we're going to attack any game that uses Sweet Baby Inc. or any of these things. He attacks this game, and you do see a good bit of backlash from even people within the SBI detected or DEI detected communities, going hey, because it does. People aren't understanding why he's attacking this game. This game is literally made. I believe it's a Kenyan. It's first of all, it's a double A. It's just a double A game. It's not a big triple A game. It was never going to be a triple A game. Tales of Kenzera Zhao. So it's Tales of Kenzera Zau.
Yeah.
It's made by, I believe, a Kenyan developer, just a guy running a AA studio, telling a story about his like culture, and like I believe it's like dedicated to his father who had recently passed away. So it's a black man telling a story of a black character and all this, with theming like surrounding like his culture. And so people are kind of like, hey, like you're attacking, like you're saying like you don't like it when like these developers or like Sweet Baby Inc. or anything like input wokeness or like input like other things into like our like big AAA title games or big games in general.
Mm-hmm.
But like, why are you attacking this game? That's like, if you're telling them like they should be making their own stories, and then you have a developer come and make his own story, and you're trying to attack him for it just because Sweet Baby Inc. might be attached to it, you're kind of devaluing your own argument here. So I know there was a lot of uproar with it, and it's now, my thing is like it feels clear it's almost become like a witch hunt. Because it's just like, oh, Sweet Baby Inc. is just on this, or like we think this guy might be related to Sweet Baby Inc., so like we're just going to out it as Sweet Baby Inc. And like even if there really is no wrong messaging within it, like it's just like, oh, because we think it's Sweet Baby Inc., this thing needs to like be attacked. So yeah, I thought it was interesting noticing like people who are like, hey, like I don't agree with like the like stuff being like wokeness being injected into like games or like DEI stuff, but like this is like some dude telling a story of his own culture.
Yeah,
like nothing wrong with that.
I guess the only argument against that would be like if your intent is to choke out Sweet Baby Inc.
Mm-hmm.
If they did consultancy work on it, which it looks like it was mentioned on their Substack, then like I guess as a consumer you have that right to be like, hey, these people were involved with this, and if you're trying to get at them, like don't support this.
Yeah.
But also on what you're saying, like I also like, why would a bunch of American consultants need to consult on a game made by a, you're saying he's Kenyan?
Yeah, I believe it's Kenyan, or I think I read somewhere it's like of like Bantu origin. It's I mean he seems like he's very well versed in the culture that he's trying to portray here. I don't know.
So it looks like it's Abu Bakar Salim, who's he's a British actor. He was in Assassin's Creed Origins, nominated for a British Academy Games Award, named a BAFTA Breakthrough Brit. Oh, he's the guy from Raised by Wolves.
Yeah.
Okay. He's also in House of the Dragon?
Oh, yes, so. So like they went after this game, and it was just I thought it was interesting. Like I saw a lot more defense on this than on a lot of other things. People were just like, "Hey, this is just like a AA game. This guy's trying to like make in honor of his like dead father." And then, like on top of that, like he's very passionate about like giving good gameplay. Cause it's a Metroidvania, so like a lot of people I think were excited to like play that style of game and that. So it seems like it's gotten generally favorable reviews as far as it goes. Yeah,
it's interesting that this was published by EA.
Yeah. Yeah, that was like some of the only controversy I've seen recently on that is I think it was just like I just wish they'd think a little bit more about like trying to immediately go after a game. Like,
Yeah.
you could keep your message like clean and like really like, you know, try to do your thing. Like I get the message and like what you're going for, but I don't know, when even some of your own like community kind of just like, hey, why?
Yeah.
It's like, man.
But again, like on the one side, I think from their point of view, it's not so much about the game; it's about the like
they just
at the consultancies.
Yeah, and that's my thing is like they just want to choke out Sweet Baby Inc. And it's like, I get it, but you're involving other people's like livelihood in that. It's like this whole thing came about when Sweet Baby Inc. was probably already consulting on a whole bunch of different things. And it's like at some point you can't really cut them out of the credits. I don't know, but you know, we'll have to.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those
see how it plays out.
Issues where it's like, if you really want the consultancy stuff to stop, you gotta like. You do have to boycott everything they do, to get game developers to at least think twice about using them, right?
Yeah.
God, dude, did you see the Pokemon Go controversy?
Oh, they changed like the avatars and all that.
Yeah, nonsense. They changed the avatars, and everyone's like, "Why'd you make them ugly?" Oh man, that's what was crazy. Is like the old avatars, they looked like they were in the like Pokemon anime video game style, and like the new stuff just looks so bland. I don't know why they did that.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, but that's the. Sorry, I noticed that because I was clicking around on that website and I saw the. They had GamerX for the Pokemon Go stuff.
Yeah.
Also, something a little interesting about GamerX is that they are supposed to be a non-profit, but they didn't file their paperwork correctly. So whenever you look them up as a non-profit, it comes up that they didn't file their paperwork correctly. A little questionable. Also, I believe GamerX is the same one that had, like, within a 1-year term, had 2, like, presidents or whatever of the company, like, ousted because of, like, inappropriate behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what else they're doing, but everything I've heard about that company is not good. I also, like, it really bothers me that Pokemon Go had, like, a good art style, and then they went, now let's make it bland. Is this what's gonna happen to the world? Just everything's gonna get bland? We're gonna have to eat the fucking gray sludge because someone else can't have red? But yeah, no, I definitely see what you're saying though, and I do like that actor.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him in much. Obviously, I've seen him in Raised by Wolves, and he was awesome in Raised by Wolves. Not that anyone else will ever know because it's fucking ripped off the internet, and we'll never see it again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if the game's good, it's gonna sell, right?
Yeah.
So that's the one good aspect about that story.
Yeah. But that's
saying earlier something about Disney, weren't you?
Yeah. Fuck. So there's the rumor. There's multiple rumors I've heard recently. One was. So I think this rumor came from a prominent Star Wars podcast. He had a guest on. I can't remember. It's someone who's worked in film. Probably worked. I think he's worked on Star Wars. He knows like George Lucas personally, and he mentioned, basically teased that George Lucas will be coming back to like work on his own live action Star Wars series. So unconfirmed rumor, but it's being teased by someone else in the industry. I can't remember who that guy is. I wish I could find that easier.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to me because George Lucas is the same guy that in interviews said that the Star Wars movies were his children and that he sold his children to Disney, who were white slavers.
Basically.
I thought you were going to say based.
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 I can't remember. It's a large, I think a pretty large Star Wars podcast that like the guy had this other guy on there. It was like, hey.
The only thing I
that
could
he's gonna
see
come.
is him coming in and helping Filoni with the movie that Filoni is supposed to direct.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be coming out next year.
Other rumor is Jon Favreau's out. I don't know if you saw that.
I've been hearing that for a long time.
Yeah, so I've seen that recently that he is leaving.
Yeah, but pretty much after the after Filoni's Mando movie comes out, they're gonna like properly sever ties. What do you think about that? Because I feel like when he first came back, things were on the up and up for Star Wars. Like Mandalorian Season 1 got a bunch of people back on board. And since then, it's just been like downhill again.
Yeah. I think Bob Iger needs to really take a step back, look at himself in the mirror, and just fire everyone involved in Star Wars right now. And then fire himself.
From the top down.
Yes.
Kathy.
He's got a bathroom in his office. Go look at yourself in the mirror of your bathroom and
flush yourself, Bob.
see what you've done.
This is the same Bob Iger that said a lot of people don't understand what it means in regards to the word woke.
Yeah.
And then immediately people responded with, woke media replaces character with identity and story with ideology. How do you feel about that like definition of woke? Because we get what the other side of woke is, like the DEI and saying that like diversity, equity, and inclusion are important and are things that need to be seen on screen. But I think that it's become a very two-dimensional version of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Like, if you look at movies back in the 80s, man, the ones that were popular, they had really good actors, and it was diverse casts, and it was like...
That's what, like...
Sometimes it was female-led stuff.
I was like, there is nothing wrong with diversity, equity, and inclusion. I think that's the point, is what we're trying to say, is like, there's nothing wrong with that. I think the problem is when you just build the story like, instead of going like, I have this story I wrote, I'm going to cast these characters now, and then you're casting the person best fit for the role, no matter what they be. Instead of that, going, I need to make a story about a female Force user character, and then building a story out from there, instead of having a story and then you fit a person to the story. It feels like they're building it, going like, we need X character, building a story out, instead of building a story and then implanting X character. I think that's the issue we're having, is like, dude, just give us good stories.
Yeah.
And implant good characters. Stop trying to make something like, it's like they're trying to... Fuck, I don't even know how to... I was trying to come up with a good metaphor. Something about fitting a mold. It's just like... It's just not working. You know?
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
And then, like, every time it starts to work, right? Like, Mandalorian had Gina Carano, and they were going to do, like, a whole thing with her. Like, they boot her because she has a like differing political opinion from half of Lucasfilm.
Yeah. Yeah. Nope.
So,
They
like someone brought up Predator the other day, like the first Predator with Schwarzenegger and God, dude, like the whole cast for that movie is just like epic, big fucking jack dudes that are like, you see them all and you're like, yeah, these guys are the fucking best of the best, and then like they slowly get fucking cut off and slaughtered, and like it's just such a cool fucking movie. And it's got like multiple black guys. It's got a Native American dude who, by the way, was like my favorite character of that movie. He's just like so fucking chill, and then like goes out on his own terms. Like just fucking badass, man. And like, when's the last time we got a movie like that where you were like, yeah, it's like a freaking ensemble, crazy cast of like good actors who are like playing these roles, and like shit's fucking cool.
We don't.
I feel like the closest we got to that is like Dune recently, but like Dune also wasn't going for that kind of thing. Like Dune was like trying to be Dune and exactly what it needed to be. Whereas like it's also coming off of a book. Like Predator wasn't a book. It wasn't anything. It was, they just fucking made that, you know?
Yeah.
God,
yeah. But
I mean, I guess we'll kind of get into that with like The Gentleman, because that's a pretty cool cast that they have going on.
Yeah. I didn't want to say anything, but yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
No, and I feel like that's where Star Wars suffers heavily, is like going back to that point, is like you try to like be like, we need X character and we're gonna build a story out around them. They have like, so they're trying to run off of this like the factor of like recognition or like love for a character. They're trying to go like, we need to make a story around X character that we already have established, instead of being like, let's create some really good new dynamic characters.
I mean, like, the closest they get to that, to having, like, cool new dynamic characters, is Andor. And, like, Andor is already a dead character, you know? Which, like, you can say the same thing about a lot of the old returning stuff, like Kenobi. Like, Obi-Wan Kenobi's dead, you know?
Yeah. That is unfortunate with Andor. But, no, I mean, again, that's one of my favorite things, is, like, we get this look into, like, actually how evil the Empire is, and we get a look into like these really good complex characters working within the Empire, and essentially their CIA operations, and like, yeah, we get some really good new characters in there. It's just like, I feel like Disney's gotten to like, they're trying to play it so safe now, because I feel like what happened was they really flubbed that original, or the sequel trilogy coming in there. Like, they just like, you know, Force Awakens wasn't terrible, and it could have gone up from there, and then instead it just like went down and very, very down. And so I feel like they were just kind of like, well, fuck, like, we fucked this up. Let's not rely on building new characters and like building a new story. Let's just like go back to some of these old fucking guys and just build stories around them.
Yeah. Like, Mandalorian was doing the same thing, and then they were like, oh, guess what? Ahsoka.
Yeah. We're bringing Boba Fett back.
Fucking, I don't even know, dude. Like,
Baby Grogu can heal your wounds using the Force.
Yeah. Like, everything, because like Mandalorian started off as it was like gonna be its own thing, and it was like gonna stand on its own in this universe, which is like good. Like, that's what you need. You need like series that aren't connected to anything to build the expanded universe that you fucking deleted on a whim. which is like kind of what Andor does. Like Andor obviously leads up to Rogue One, but like Rogue One also, I don't know, I guess I can't say that it doesn't really. Even Rogue One, man, it just fucking leads into A New Hope, and A New Hope is a better movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like Andor the show is way better than Rogue One was. If they had just made Andor without Rogue One, I think a lot of people would have watched Andor.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah, it's exactly what you're saying. Like they're relying too much on established characters, and they aren't doing any world building, right? So like the entire universe feels really small because, oh, Ahsoka's getting her own TV show, but she was also like the main character pretty much in Clone Wars and in Rebels, and now she has her own live action show, and it wasn't very good. So like you've beaten the character into the dirt, and no one except Dave Filoni and the very small minority of people who watched like Rebels and Clone Wars are on board with seeing more of that character.
Yeah.
It's like whenever I talked about Tales of the Jedi, it's like, yeah, it's a bunch of like short stories about characters that you don't care about because they're not important. Or the stories aren't important because that character's story was told in the movies.
Yep. A lot of garbage.
Yes. All right. I think we probably kicked this dead horse enough.
Yeah. That's
fairly short episode this week. If you got to this point, might I commend your determination?
Yes. As always, music by Carl Casey at Whitebat Audio.
And if you want to scream at Scott, you can do that on Twitter at BadPipesPod. Or if you wanted to give us $1 just to say thanks and to keep our podcast forever ad-free, you can do that on patreon.com/BadPipesPodcast. And if you, for some reason, had a lot to say, you could do it in email at CryptidWorksOfficial@gmail.com.
Yeah. Follow me on Twitter to watch me roast people's terrible Star Wars takes.
Hell yeah. Okay. Good night. I love you.
Bye.